Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ann Huang, Executive Director of World Arts West. Thank you so much for coming to our last artist dialogue of the festival today. My pronouns are she, her. Before we begin the program today, I want to acknowledge that today's programs are taking place on the traditional unceded land of the Ramaytush Ohlone. Welcome to weekend 2 of the 45th annual World Arts West Dance Festival. Yes. Our expanded for a festival format this year includes artist dialogues, dance workshops, and a day of performances at the Presidio next Sunday with close to 200 cultural artists. So please come and check it out, all for free. World Arts West is a 46-year-old arts organization that serves the largest world dance network in the United States of America. We advocate for cultural artists by providing capacity building artist support services, live performance opportunities, and collective advocacy. In the last 5 years, World Arts West has undergone a deeply transformative equity journey. For the first time, our organization's board, staff, and festival production team are majority cultural artists that reflect the diversity of the artist community we serve. Thank you. We are the artists are us. Through our deep listening in the community, we're rolling out different festival themes. This year, dance is activism. Next year, dance, health, and healing. To find out more about programs, if you're not on our mailing list, please come and talk to our staff and volunteer members in the lobby and sign up on our mailing list and maybe become a volunteer yourself in the future. This year's festival theme, Dance as Activism, shares the power of cultural dance to challenge societal norms, preserve cultural heritage, and inspire social change. To me, the current historical moment, cultural artists are telling stories of resistance and revolution. Today's Artist Dialogue centers on the topic female empowerment, which will focus on the contribution of women in historical dance cultures, addressing the ever-present sexism, and investigating personal stories of growth and influence. I now like to introduce our wonderful moderator, Andréa Spearman. Thank you, Andréa. Andréa Spearman balances life as an artist and arts administrator. She has supported artist-led work and increased visibility for over 100 dance artists. Andréa has served on grant funding panels for San Francisco Arts Commission, Dancers Group, California Arts Council, Theater Bay Area, and Intermusic SF. As a dancer and choreographer, Andréa creates work that draws on a diverse set of deeply rooted cultural traditions and eclectic mix of styles. Her podcast, The Black Landscape, now on season 6. Is an interview, 7, sorry, is an interview series that highlights Black leaders in the Bay Area. Last anecdotal notes, in 2015, Andréa and I started at World Arts West together. She was an intern and I was a grant writer. So after her internship ended, she went to work with different organizations. We're so thrilled to welcome Andréa back this year as a full-time staff member. She is the point person for our festival this year. So thank you, Andréa, for being here.
Thank you so much, Anne. And this organization means so much to me. I couldn't stay away. Thank you all again for being here for this fantastic thing that we're doing, this new thing that we're doing. We're talking to artists, we're talking to you, we're hearing from our community so that we can take a step further as a collective. Right? I see y'all nodding your heads. That's right? You can feel free to talk back. Yeah. This is interactive. Well, I welcome you again, and today We have three amazing, badass women here with us today. Ishika, Seth. Give her a hand clap, y'all. Come on. Yes. Suhaila, Salimpour. And finally, someone I've known since high school. Jenay, Anolin. Woo. Awesome. I'm going to take my seat here as well. Very demure, very mindful. Yes, very collective, very community. I welcome all three of you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to read some of their bio just so you can get a sense if you didn't know who they were before today. Miss Ishika is an Indian immigrant choreographer, dancer, dance educator, writer, and mama. She strives to create works to challenge social, cultural, and political constructs. She combines Indian and Western aesthetic and movement styles to create an idiom of Indian contemporary dance movement. Her eclectic training in modern dance, contemporary, jazz, yoga, kathak, and whacking. I love some whacking. It's fun. Do it, Jenay. No, I'm just kidding. Not gonna put her on the spot, but it's very fun. I love it. All these styles have enabled her to constantly explore and expand her movement vocabulary and art making. She obtained a bachelor's in dance from San Jose State University and has been dancing professionally for, it says 15, but it's more than that.
It's about 15.
It's about 15 now? Okay. She's the co-founder and artistic director of Ishami Dance Company. Woo! A South Asian contemporary dance company based here in the Bay Area. And they're going to be performing next week. So if you haven't registered for next Sunday, do it. Well, not right now, but after. Suhaila, first generation belly dancer from the Swana region, renowned as a pioneer in her field. For those who don't know, Swana, Southwest Asia and North Africa. The visionary behind the first certification program and pedagogy in belly dance, Suhaila introduced a revolutionary methodology for both performance and instruction that has inspired a global community of dancers to approach the art form with dedication and depth. And she's in school right now, getting her MFA. Come on, education. We love an educated dancer. Yes. Jenay. Yes, is an Oakland native, Oaktown, who has been community organizing for the past 17 years. Is this 17? Okay, come on, 17. These are deeply rooted folks. You hear all these years? Clap it up for all the years put in right now. They are rooted here in the community. Jenay is the co-founder and director of the all-female street dance company, Mixed Ingredients. She also is a veteran youth educator, empowering teenagers through movement, nutrition and wellness practices, and leadership development. So she's here for the kids too. Oh, and as a reminder, following this conversation, Suhaila's going to teach her belly dance class. I see some of her students already here. So, yes, come on, crew. We're so glad y'all here representing. We're going to have a good time. And then following the belly dance class, Jenay's going to lead us in a cipher. And maybe if we're good, she'll teach us a little whack or some house steps. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay? Y'all ready? All right. So let's just dive in. Part of female empowerment is asking ourselves to look back as we analyze and step forward into the future. So a question I want to ask our lovely ladies of this panel, what has been a historical role of women in your specific dance form? Ishika, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So as Andréa mentioned, my training is kind of eclectic, but talking a little bit specifically about Indian classical and folk dance forms, traditionally, the first working women of India were the dancers, the classical dancers. However, post colonization, a lot of them were separated from their form, and it was very much co-opted by the upper classes. So the hereditary dancers and practitioners of the form were separated from it and no longer have access to it in the same way anymore. So even though you still see a lot of women practicing those forms, they're not the original practitioners, and they also represent higher classes. So it's a little bit complex, that whole history. I think also, even though you see a lot of women dancers, all the positions of power are now held by men. So that's also something which, yeah, exists now.
So see, we're moving into the future where we're fixing that.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, Suhaila.
Well, very similar to your culture and history, but where I would say my dance form and art form splits is that the dance form is not held by the higher class now. It's actually the lower class. There's a huge class system throughout the Swana regions, and that really is what dictates who is allowed, and I'm going to use that word, allowed to dance. Because in family structures, you would not be allowed to become a professional dancer. And of course, I'm talking about dance in public. I mean, the dance form is done, very much intact in celebrations and weddings and all kinds of different, traditions inside the culture. And that is okay as long as you don't become a professional. And then that's where the line is drawn, which I find is a beautiful kind of conflict inside the culture, too, of like how the role of women in society and how that comes through in how they have a love and a disdain and a relationship with their dancers. Yeah.
Interesting. I hear that you're saying that it crosses the line from being celebratory to, now you want to make that your career.
No, totally. And yeah, no, totally. I mean, you can do it for, with your family at a party or wedding, but putting on a costume, getting on, no. And the dancers are celebrated, but don't think you're going to marry their sons.
Oh, I see. Uh-oh.
That's where the lines are.
Patriarchy.
Oh, yes.
Heavy. Jenay.
Well, I want to. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay.
Jabari, mic check.
Hello. Oh, awesome. Thank you. All right. So I will say that street dance predominantly is seen as a male-dominated form of movement, but I will say that just in recent times, with the improvement of like accessibility, like internet, it's become a lot more widespread. Which, again, we never knew that there was actually women involved in the street dance culture, but there definitely were. It was just a very small amount. But now with the accessibility and more presence of it on, around the world, there's more inspiration and people joining in. So I think, I don't want to say that it didn't have women and females involved, but it definitely was not as common.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have some background stories about that.
Exactly, we really do. An inside joke. I used to study with Walter Freeman, who was one of the founding members of the Gentlemen of Production, and there were and this was back in the late 70s, early 80s, and we were not. I mean, we as the women were not allowed to dance with them, and it was hidden, like literally in my dining room. So it's so awesome to see the evolution. Yeah.
I was laughing at that. I said, doing dance in secret.
Dancing in the dark.
Right. Yeah, and I'm so glad to hear about the point of accessibility is what really has shifted the tide of more women identifying folks to be able to see each other and know that you're out there, and then taking it upon themselves to take it to the next level. Because for you all, how do you see yourself contributing to this change, to more women-led companies? How are you stepping into your own and making that change?
I think for me, it started with just the themes of the work I would create. I would create a lot of works that would share some of my experiences and experiences of other women from my culture. And I think that was the first step. And now it's also working more directly with people in the educational space and creating spaces where you're allowed to kind of exist more freely, because that's not how we were taught, and what we wore, and the size and shape of our body, and all of those things mattered. Growing up in India, there was also a lot of colorism, and we would notice not being cast for certain things if you were darker skinned, and all of those things existed. So as a leader of a company now, just challenging that and creating a space where everybody feels welcome and you celebrate people irrespective of where they come from and what they look like and all of that. I think that's really how I try to sort of break that.
Yes.
I feel I'm in more of a desperate situation because my tradition is dying. And that is very political because it's really difficult to, in countries of the Middle East and North Africa, there's such tragedy happening right now that it is very difficult for dance to survive, because right now it's food, shelter, water, survival. And so even though there is still dance happening, because it gives hope, and without hope there's no survival. And so for me, my representation within the culture is just being, just continuing to teach, continuing to, and there were mornings I would wake up and just be in tears for what's happening and think, can I go teach a class and put on music and dance? And I really felt like, well, I must, because this is the way that I'm also trying to educate people about my culture in a positive way. And so that's why I'm getting my MFA, because I want into academia so I can try to preserve my tradition that is dying.
Yes.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, and I want to say that the education, the preservation part is really important. So I mentioned before the access, right? Like, it's widespread, but we also have to, as educators and as the practitioners of this movement, of these movements, we have to make sure we also educate and really be clear about where this history is coming from, because we don't want to just water it down. We don't want to, change any of the narrative. So it's really important, the education aspect, which is why I like to work with young people, why I like to work with, I guess I'm a beatboxer too.
We're all safe. We're here. Okay.
Talk a little softer. Yeah, and why I work, again, with young women as well, because I believe that having that solid foundation and that education, that knowledge is really important to move these movements forward, these cultures forward.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Kicking in the door of academia, because that is where a lot of people, those who are going into dance as educators, those who are coming up in these undergraduate programs, they don't get to see a lot of cultural dance. It's really very much focused on the Western art form of stage dance. And if you can even implant just one Suhaila, one Ishika, one Jenay in the class who's going to ask the questions and bring it up, that's just a small drop in the ocean, and it ripples out into the community.
And just, it's kind of fun to go into these colonial structures, right? And then to try to decolonialize. Like, that's really fun. But outside of academia, I have to say that, like Girl Brigade and Mila, who actually teaches for Girl Brigade, working with this young generation, when I have come to like give workshops, because Mila actually teaches for, and this is not necessarily an academic institution, but it is an institution, this young generation, it brought tears to my eyes. I was like teary watching the youth, this young generation, care, be educated, ask questions, want to know about the culture, want to know about the history. I mean, I was moved by that, but it is with the young generation, yeah.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. It's that preservation of what has been, what's happening now, the transition, giving the next generation something to look forward to. It's being that role model. It's giving that history as you know it to share it, because we are history in the making right now. So I appreciate all that you all are doing to really step it up for the next generation. Thank you for sharing that. So now we're gonna get into the little nitty gritty.
All right.
Sexism. How has sexism and the patriarchy affected your current dance practice and, thinking about growth for the future? Give us the tea. Let's start on the other end, Jenay, because we know hip hop and street dance can get a little rough.
I have so many answers to this question, but I will say it definitely took a lot of perseverance from my end, from my co-founder's end, to keep pushing our message. Again, if no one's familiar with Mixed Ingredients, we are a all-female street dance company. We started in 2010 in response to just like the mass presence of female dancers being objectified in like music videos and just not feeling really empowered through those types of movements. So we started our dance company to challenge that, become activists through movement, and it took a lot. Like for the first couple years, it was like, who are these people? Who are these women? Who do they think they are? But we did the work, and so. Over time, we started to get recognized more and more for the all-female street dance group in the Bay Area, which was nice. But again, it took perseverance. On the other side, we've had some blockages working in some of the like the arts festivals here in the Bay. Just the way that certain events are thrown, they don't take into account. There's a little bit of like this masculinity, patriarchy, like dominance, which always makes speaking up for ourselves a lot more difficult. So we've had some snafus with a few events here in the Bay Area, and unfortunately, it exists. So,
Yeah.
And I don't want to call anybody out, but it does happen.
I know who they are.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think that you can all imagine what it would be like when you tell people, oh, I teach belly dance. You just wait for the response. So as far as sexism, I think we're probably at the top of the food chain. Because I don't feel that, and it also goes back to education, because I don't think that people understand that this movement form is a part of a culture. And yes, because of a Western gaze and objectification, it turned into Hollywood movies and I Dream of Jeannie and I don't know, Britney Spears with a big snake. I don't even know why, what happened, and it's always been conflicting for me, because while, for example, someone listening to Shakira might want to learn how to belly dance, and I'm like, okay, because once they're in, then we'll educate them, but that's not necessarily So it's been
Right.
really challenging. It's like constantly challenging. And I love the femininity inside my dance form. And my goals are to try to get more men and male identifying bodies into my classes, because there's also, that's really important to share that kind of essence together. And there are a lot of masculine movements inside belly dance that I think are really, I don't think people realize. And so we go through that
No.
different, and so I think it's, but as far as the patriarchy goes, the thing that I try to do for myself and my dancers is just make sure that we control our destiny. Because in my culture, the men own the nightclubs, or the men own the theaters, and the men are the ones writing the checks, and the men are, and so for me, we produce most of all our own events, and we're all self-produced, so we try to take that kind of ownership, so the dancers don't have to compromise. I don't have to compromise my vision and my messaging about my culture.
Yes.
It's always tough.
Yes. I didn't know for a long time that there were masculine movements inside of the belly dance style. I had only seen it maybe in the last 5 or 6 years. But that's, part of me being part of World Arts West and this specific community. But a lot of people have no idea.
Well, and belly dance is a Western term that really umbrellas the entire Swana regions, right? Like, so there's a lot of leeway in what region, and what area of the world we're talking about. Yeah.
Awesome.
I hate that I'm stuck with that word, belly dance, but I just am. Yeah.
What feels like a better word or a better description?
It's interesting because even saying Middle East is from a colonial view. It's like Middle
much
East and where.
colonialism.
Right. And so that's why I'm really trying to work with Swana, the Southwest Asia, North Africa regions. But then I have to, so if I say a Swana dance class, nobody,
Right, huh?
So I'm really working with that, like belly dance, and then in parentheses, we're trying. But again, we're always educating. That's like, it's constant.
That's how you grab and you say belly dance, and then when they get in there, here's education. Got you.
Yes. And
You're gonna learn today.
And yes, and I have to say that I feel like this current generation of students that I have, and I've been teaching. I mean, you both are babies. I've been teaching for like over 4 decades now. Yeah.
Doesn't she look great?
The secret's the dancing. Yeah, that's the secret. And this is the first generation, I feel, of student that they want to know the history, they want to care, and that I'm going to use this word aloud, like I'm allowed at the end of class to say, thank you for letting me share my culture with you. Like, I've never said that after class before, because I always felt like it was more of a capitalist exchange. They paid for a class, and then what they learned, that's theirs now, and I don't feel that same generation. There's more reverence and appreciation, but this is new. Yes.
It's that new.
Yeah.
You got to get with it or get lost. Because we're here for education, for change. Ishika.
I think one thing which I always find interesting is, even though we have unique experiences across cultures, but how there's so much commonality. So that's always fascinating to me. I think my formal training in dance was always like intertwined with sexism. I started with jazz, and jazz at that time in India was very objectifying, and it was all about like doing Britney Spears and being sexy. And as like a 17-year-old, I felt very uncomfortable doing that, and I don't anymore, like embracing my sexuality when I dance. But at that point, I really did. And from there, I went to a more Indian contemporary company, which was really male dominated, and I felt like I remember this piece distinctly, where the women would come in, we'd hand the boys their swords, and then we'd exit, and then they'd have this entire piece, and then we'd come back and be like ornamental take their swords away. And I remember like discussing this with the director and being like, I feel like we should be doing more than this. And he's like, well, you don't know this form, and once you learn it, you can. And I was like, fine. So the next day I like enrolled for those classes, and I was the only woman in that space. Whoa. I was the only woman in that space, but I was like, this is important. Like, if that's what we need to do, we need to do that. So I think and then coming here and being in the Bollywood space, which is again like very objectifying, and like I know there's this tension between, is it empowering? Is it like, objectifying? Is it for the male gaze? Like, who's consuming this? Like, what are we wearing? Where are we performing it? And, all those things. But there's no easy answers, because there's so many people who are like, well, I feel very empowered when I'm doing this kind of movement, but it depends on like who's consuming it and what the perception is also. At the end of the day, that's not how people are consuming that. And they're like, let's bring on the girls with the sexy costumes. And that's kind of like what you're reducing that art to, right? So
Yeah, we get that.
yeah, I think so. As a dancer, that's definitely been the case. Even now, when we perform for events, people want to sometimes be like, "Well, what does the costume look like?" And I'm like, "That's irrelevant. That's none of your freaking business." Like,
Why are you worried
and,
about it?
Yeah, and more, I think we have kind of like drawn to more gender-neutral costumes to sort of, address some of these things. Also, we have a lot of like queer dancers in our company, and then that just makes it more inclusive overall. So that's something we're sort of thinking about as we create work. Other experiences have been, I think you already spoke about it, but like, yeah, spaces here. I think there's this, I don't know if some of those experiences are because I'm a woman or because I'm a woman of color. I think it's hard to sometimes separate those things, but yeah, it's like when the people in power are male and white, and there's this power dynamic which we've definitely felt in certain spaces and chosen not to be part of those spaces, but it exists.
Yeah. But that's why we're here now, to turn the beat around. Turn the beat around. Women in power. Turn it upside down. Patriarchy is going down. Yes, but I'm so glad you all shared these experiences, because as you said, it's the commonality of these experiences, no matter what style or genre that you are a part of. And that's for all of you in the audience as well. I'm sure everybody has their own stories of a moment where you were challenged or seemingly mistreated based on gender or ethnicity or sexual orientation. And that's why we're all here today, to really push forward diversity and push forward women who are here today making a way for the future. And I want to really touch on the future right now, and like, let's talk about not just personal goals, but goals for your style and practice of dance, and the people that you're working with right now. If it's your students or fellow company members, what are some of those goals you all have for the future? We're gonna start with Jenay again.
Well, so I unfortunately moved away from the Bay Area 4 years ago. My full-time job is not in the arts, which is okay. But I'm a public health practitioner, and I have actually just being in a new community is really challenging, because you have to start over. And so right now, part of my mission, or what I'm working on, is actually building a house dance community in Fresno, which doesn't exist. There's like a whole bunch of young people out there interested in learning, and so like that's kind of been my main project right now. And additional to that, I've also jumped into the aerial dance space, which also is it's predominantly white, but finding my path and journey in that art form to hopefully become an instructor for younger women of color, or young boys of color too as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Suhaila.
Well, yeah, I mean, as we talked about, I'm getting my MFA because I want to preserve the tradition my goal right now is to create community and get people dancing, because there was this moment, I think, right as the pandemic was hitting and there was all this stuff happening about cultural appropriation and can I belly dance, should I belly dance, why do I belly dance? And it terrified me, because the worst thing for my people, the worst thing for my art form is if someone stops doing it or doesn't do it. So we need, especially because of what's happening in the countries that the art form is in, we need you to dance outside of the countries. It gives the people hope. It makes them feel valuable. It makes them feel like you're curious and that you care, and that there's a difference between appropriation and appreciation. And so it's that appreciation line that I'm really trying to nurture in my classes and within like my outreach, because that's crucial to the survival of my art form. So yeah.
I think for me also it comes through education and the work that I create, and community building, working with people and guiding them in terms of I had nobody to do that for me, but trying to be that for the next generation. And I honestly feel like the youth have it figured out. When I see a lot of the younger South Asian dancers and choreographers, I'm like, they're already so much more fearless than I was at that age. And I'm like, okay, we're already on the right path, but it's helpful to provide resources and sometimes be willing to listen and just have them feel like if they have a certain situation, they can discuss that with someone. So just trying to be that person in the community and being like a strong leader to be able to guide the next generation.
I love it. I love it. Yes. One last question, and you all mentioned it just a little bit, but like thinking about this era that we're in of social media, how has that affected your practice, your personal practice? Thinking about works that you presented, thinking about classes that you're teaching, things that you're sharing on whether it's your personal or dance company pages. How has social media affected your personal practice? Start in the middle. Suhaila.
I thought I was going to get away easy again.
Nope.
Well, social media is huge. I mean, we can't get away from it. And I've spent a lot of time trying to think of my message, and literally percentagizing it. Like 60% education, 20%, I don't know, I'm just making this up at this point, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like 10% shows, and you have to percentagize it because like what's the most important thing, and then you try to have that be what you're putting out there. And I have a really hard time in my culture because someone comes in already with like a preconceived idea of like, oh, I want to learn how to belly dance, and then they start moving like this, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're just so irritating right now. But then you're like, but maybe there's hope if they are educated, they'll get, so how do you appeal to that fantasy? And then how much am I gonna, if I'm too academic, it's a little dry. But if I'm too performative, that's not authentic to me. I know you're feeling it, right? It's all
Right.
of it. We're all going through this.
Balance.
If we're too performative, and then if we're too like fitnessy, we're not fitness. This is an art form from a culture. So, it's really hard. It's constant negotiation, and I think it's a constant, like it's a lose-lose battle. And I feel like I'm just throwing, we're throwing it out there and hoping, does this stick? Is this working? So I think what's changed is that we spend way too much time worrying about what's on our social media instead of making art. But we have to, that's the business part of it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance. Ishika. Oh,
Okay, I think Suhaila said a lot of, I think, what the tensions which I also feel about like how to present and what to present. So I won't like really repeat that. But yeah, I think it's this, when you have limited time and you're trying to create your art, and then there's this thing of like, am I trying to create the art or make it like market it for social media? And it's, you're in a 3-hour rehearsal and you have so much to do, and you record your video and it's not really cute for social media. So now we need to like re-record it, but there's no time in the rehearsal. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot of times what I notice is when we're like busy as doing the work, it's hard to do the social media, but you need the social media in order to market and everything. And it's been extremely helpful. Like you said, we can't really escape it in terms of marketing a show, in terms of classes. People, a lot of times, like we rely completely on social media for class marketing and all of that. So it has been extremely helpful. So we try to just use it more as a tool to help us with our work rather than letting it kind of drain our energy and getting caught up in, what people are consuming and how to cater to that.
I really do not like social media. I thought I knew how to use it, but apparently I don't. I have a really hard, it's so challenging for me because I think like this concept of influencers, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like what knowledge you have. If somebody has 20,000 more followers than you, they're just gonna automatically go to that. So there's this huge, and I'm probably gonna be slapped on the hand for this, but like house dance is not shuffling. It's a different. So, anyways, I just have a hard time being able to have my reach. But this is why I rely on community. This is why I rely on my partnerships, my relationships with the people in the community, and actually start from that. I don't really care if it makes anything viral. It's really about making sure whatever I'm putting out is genuine, it's accurate, yeah, and that we give credit and our knowledge is credible. So, anyways,
absolutely.
that's my
Can I say
rant.
something about that? Actually, yeah, I think that's something which has been challenging as an educator is this influx of like dance influencers. So a lot of people who just have huge followings, as you're saying, and it's becoming more and more difficult to teach classes that are rooted in education and not just like, this is like a fun song we're teaching, or that's what audiences and students are starting to expect. Everybody wants to know what song you're doing. Everybody wants to see the choreography, and that's kind of almost against the intention of a class. Like, people are not there to learn, they're there for like a video which they can like post then on social media. So
A viral moment.
yeah, so it makes it extremely difficult as dance educators to be like true to yourself and actually use your classes as a space of education versus content.
I just thought of a new thing for World Arts West to help support artists within this challenge of social media, because World Arts West, I don't know if any of you know this, but there's a huge network and support system internally that you don't even hear about for artists. We get support from this organization that you never see, and so it's amazing. It's really wonderful. There's nothing else like it anywhere in the U.S. Yeah, so thank you, Anne, because Anne is the really the whole driving force behind that. And this is, I feel this is a struggle. And so it's something to brainstorm and talk about, because maybe there might be ways we could support each other and support this situation that is not going anywhere. And again, it's another opportunity to educate, another platform to maybe use to educate, but how do we do it without sucking our soul?
Absolutely, because I be tired of Al Gore's rhythm. You never know what's gonna hit, what's gonna go viral, what's gonna pop off, which is, like everyone is kind of saying, and Jenay really hit it on the head. You just have to be genuine and authentic about what you're posting, what you're sharing, what the root of it is, and just do your best because it'll reach the right people that it's supposed to. And we've reached a point in this conversation that we want to hear from y'all out here. Y'all got some questions for these wonderful panelists? First, give them a hand. Yes. So great to hear their history and stories. There was a question I saw. Oh, wait, there's a mic coming to you. Oh, okay.
So you know how like we're belly dancers and we're belly dancing behind closed doors, and I know that all other dance forms from the world arts are also having those issues. What do you guys see in yourselves that needs to come away from out of the closed doors right now? Because this is like pretty exciting and true and strong. And so, what is the next piece of this, that you see in your particular practice?
I feel like this is for both of you, right? Because we've already talked about how.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, well, with Indian classical dance, has always been a form that was respected and it was okay to perform it on stage. However, there are certain remnants of bias that still exist where that whole thing of like nobody wants to marry a dancer and like they don't do it professionally. But I think it's just changing, and I know I had that struggle when I started. It was not very accepted, but I think all you can do is just if you give your form that respect, that's how I look at it, is like I don't feel like this is a shameful secret that needs to be like hidden behind doors. So if I'm embracing it wholly and bringing it out, I hope that that creates ripples and allows more people to do the same.
Can you repeat it again? I'm sorry. I was like.
We're allowed to practice our art behind closed doors because patriarchy and social.
Sure.
All this stuff, but you can expand that idea, like you said,
What are we doing?
men, but on a performance level, we're making this normal for girls to be strong and be beautiful and not be attacked. And like, is there anything in your mind that you're thinking about? It's like a super important thing that's behind closed doors that you could bring out.
Gosh, that's such a deep question. For me, it's literally just again like intentionality with the purpose of the work that we do, and for me, how I like to make that happen is just by education and really like connecting with the students, and giving them opportunities to be the next educator, the next teacher. So yeah, just providing opportunities, I think, is a huge one for me.
I just a quickie, because what I thought of too when you said that question is in January, I came in and did a workshop for Mila for Girl Brigade, and one of the things that I was so touched by is this young generation felt so entitled to be dancing. And I was like, and they should feel like I didn't feel that. Like I had to fight. I've been fighting and I'm still, softly and smiling. But this young generation, they're like, no, I am entitled to dance. This is my body. And I was like, so that was really moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll add, as a presenting organization, it's our responsibility as well, and that's why we're here having this conversation, and we're doing it not just for our community, but also to influence other organizations to stop gatekeeping and open the doors and create spaces and times and places for dance communities that are not easily recognized or that have been misconstrued throughout history. So it's creating the space for people to talk for themselves about their own practice and give you the real, the authentic, the genuine.
Yeah, and it's happening.
That's how you influence. Any more questions? Yes. In the black.
My question's a little bit related to the last one, and I also kind of want to tie it to the previous topic about like the evolution of dance and tying contemporary and traditional. So let's talk about male gaze in dance. How do you navigate that conflict, if there is a conflict, on these traditional or contemporary dances that are kind of infected by the male gaze, where like, do you remove aspects? Do you embrace them? Do you try to recontextualize them? Or do you alter them in some way?
Ooh, great question.
I know, I love that question.
I think it's something I'm still navigating, so I don't know if I have a clear answer for you, but I think some of it is like sort of breaking the patriarchy from within, and maybe some of it means sometimes we change the facing of things. So for example, some of the presentational aspects which happen very much frontal facing and engaging the audience, like what if you turn your gaze away? What if it's you see the back of the dancer, or you face diagonally to take some of that presentational aspect away? Or if you, like I said, we do a lot of like gender blurring through our work. So when you have male and female bodies doing the same movement, I think that strips it of this kind of, this is, a woman performing for a male gaze. I think that's something which is really powerful that I found through our work, which feels like now it's no longer like men watching and women performing when we coexist in that space. And then I don't think movement has gender, right? Movement is just like, it's fluid, it's curved, it's strong, it's angular, it's not masculine or feminine per se. We've attached those labels to it. So when you just like strip those labels off the movement and allow that movement to exist without gendered qualities, I think that helps. We have so many women in our company who feel very uncomfortable doing very feminine movements. They relate a lot more to like hip hop rhythms and like popping and things like that. So we're like, okay, we don't need to define movement by gender and allow it to just kind of be fluid and different energies to flow through. I don't know if that really answers the question, but that's just my perspective.
I have a little bit more, I think, of a stereotype within that because of the world that the belly dancer has been put in. And what I find so interesting about that is that women have been fighting for control over their bodies in so many different ways. So like we want control physically, we want to be able to have control politically, we want control socially. And so when you see a woman dancing, this is the epitome of a woman having control over her body. Yeah. So,
Yes.
right, and so the male gaze is witness to that beauty. And so from that window is that they're going to be violent or predatory or a lift. So what I think is important is to get out there and be dancing, because the more we're out there in multi-generational,
Yes.
because when my dancers come out, I have a 14-year-old and a 72-year-old, and we're all out on stage. Like, there's a multi-generationals, there's multi-genders, and that confuses the male gaze that's sexualizing, of course, because it's like, whoa, and so then all you can feel is that strength and power and community.
Yes. Yes. Snaps for that. Yes.
Oh. I just want to say, like, women's bodies in general, we're beautiful, and it should be celebrated. And so, like, if the intentionality of the movements that we're doing is because we want to celebrate it, I'm all for it. Again, it's also why did I choose to use this movement? Why did I choose to place this specific thing? Because I also believe that doing a spin on the ground is beautiful and sexy. I also think that, doing something like a break freeze is sexy. Like, it's all about the intentionality of the person and the performance and the movement. It's bringing that control back to us versus others. So
Yes. I love what you all said right now about decolonizing the male gaze by making it all bodies, all genders, all generations. That takes away, it strips it to the movement itself. And then you can feel whatever you want to feel from the movement itself. There's another question. Oh, from Samad. Hey.
Yes, hey, what's up, y'all? First of all, I just want to give a shout out to our illustrious panel of speakers. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to the question that was just asked. I think it's a good question. And I hear what you're saying, Suhaila. Women have been combating the male gaze for centuries. And I think the flip side of the question is what are we going to do as men ourselves to combat the male gaze, especially if it's predatory
thank you, Samad.
or driven by something beyond acknowledging the power of bodies in space. And as someone who's been directly and also peripherally involved in Girl Brigade, I work here at Dance Mission. I'm an assistant manager in the office.
Incredible program.
I'm so grateful to have some of the Girl Brigaders in my department now. I teach at Ruth Asawa School of the Arts in San Francisco. And there's a different energy about the students who come from Girl Brigade. They come into the space and they seem to be very grounded in their ability to move. They come in moving. There's not this apprehension. And I think the space that's cultivated here is so important for these young folks, particularly these young girls and femme-bodied folks and folks who identify with their femme selves. And it's just, I notice it, and I think as a male-bodied and teacher who's a man, leading a department that's all genders are represented in my department, it's important for me to bring up these conversations and to also present the other side of the question is what are we doing to combat the male gaze as men? And so, it's a issue that we all have to look at.
Yeah.
And I want to. I do believe that the young bodies that are focusing on non-Western or European dance forms are also able to embrace they're being led by ideas of community and ideas of ritual. And I see Mila do this with her class. Like before class, man, there's a ritual and there's an honoring and there's like a prayer and a meditation. And these, if they never become professional dancers, if they just go out into the workforce and they do this every day, they are ahead, And what I can say, because I'm going into academia later in life, I had this full career, and now I'm stepping into academia that is primarily dominated by Western or European ideologies and dance forms. I'm always confused because I feel like I'm reading about how to fix whiteness with more whiteness. And I'm like, but all these answers that you're dehydrated from are
Say that again. Dehydrated.
they're dehydrated. All as in, let's go take Indian dance. How about Arabic dance, the African dance? We have to. I mean, all these answers are in these cultural dance forms where it's already embedded in the movement. And it makes me sad because I have to be quiet.
No, you
'Cause I'm
don't.
trying to get my degree.
Says who?
No,
I
you
know,
don't.
well,
Speak up.
after I get my MFA, then we'll be like, okay, we need to reorganize. Okay, but I feel that big time. I feel like, you know, these institutions that focus on other dance forms other than modern and ballet, I'm like, oh, that's where it's all in there. It's not just the movement. There's the ritual, there's the customs, there's the culture. And in most of these cultures, you don't separate movement from music or music from food or food from spices and spices from the sun and the moon and the time of year. Like, we're not disconnected. It's a string of beautiful pearls. You don't just say, I'm going to do this one pearl. And then why is this one pearl so lonely? Because it's missing all the other pearls. So now we want to come in and try. Anyway, yeah.
Yes. It all works together. I love that. And Samaj, you said, you know, how can men and others do the work? You're starting it right now by asking the question. All the men that are here, you're starting it by being present for this moment. We appreciate that. Thank you. I see a hand in the back.
Before we get there, I just want to say that in order to continue that work, we need to bring this conversation to other spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So if anybody in the audience has suggestions for where War Arts West can bring this conversation to other spaces, please come and talk to me and our staff. Where's the question?
Hey, friend in the back.
Hello.
Hello.
So my question is, I think you guys are circling a little bit. You might not identify it as this word, and that's okay if you don't. But I was wondering if you would be comfortable and willing to share a personal experience of you connecting with your own like erotic power, or your own like feminine, whatever, you know, however you classify it. That I think that has been instrumental in you getting to the stage where you are now. So, kind of maybe the behind the scenes. There's a singular moment.
What was the last sentence you just said?
I feel like I'm seeing the work has been done, or it continues to be done. But I'm really like eager, hungry to hear maybe a particular moment that you were like, I feel the challenge of not wanting to step into that power and then choosing the power. So, yeah.
Stepping into your erotic or feminine power. Was there a moment?
I'm not going first on that.
Right, y'all don't.
So prior to starting the dance mixed ingredients, I was dancing for a commercial group out here in the Bay Area and was being put on gigs that we were wearing pretty risky outfits, and at a certain point did not feel good at all. So I think because I wasn't in control. I did not want to wear what I was wearing. I could still do these dance moves. I could still wear heels and all these things, but I was not the one choosing the space. And so I think that experience really was just like a wake-up call for me and allowed me to reflect and then also build and do the work, as you said. So I was definitely doing commercial dancing for a couple of years before I started my company.
I think mine's a little bit more specific to a particular show that I was part of. So Amit, my co-director, and I created a show where I had to play the character from Hindu mythology called Surpanaka, who in the traditional narrative is kind of this very negative character who tries to seduce the hero of the epic and is mutilated for doing that, and they cut off her nose and ears, and she's seen as this demoness, and that's how she's presented in the epic. And she's there fleetingly, and then this entire war is fought by her brother who abducts the other woman. It's the whole thing. So as we were researching this epic, I was very curious about this character who fleetingly comes in but causes this entire war to happen. And I just read like other narratives about her, and I think that was really interesting because she was like this very like sexual character, but a lot of it came from her being outside of that dominant culture. So where it was completely acceptable for her to exist in this kind of embracing, her sexuality, which was from a very like Hindu Brahminical gaze, upper caste, post-colonial, whatever. It was not okay for her to exist in this way. So it was kind of like peeling all these layers of like colonization and who's in power and who wrote this story where this woman is seen as a demon. And then playing that character, I think, was very freeing, because before that, I was also in very commercial spaces where I did not decide what I was wearing and where we were performing and all of that. But being able to play this highly erotic character in this space and just being like really free, I felt for the first time very like empowered and like embracing that aspect of my personality on stage, which was, I guess that was like a big breakthrough moment for me.
So the moment that just came into my head when you asked that question, it just like filled my body, was a moment where I was working pretty heavily in Arabic nightclubs at the time, and we rarely had a night off. It was 7 nights a week, but we had this night off, and we went to, on our night off, we went to another club,
Dancers.
And it was our club went to another club, so it was the whole band and the management and the owner, and we went to this other club because there was this famous singer, and we had to go support and everything. And I'm sitting there at the table of all men, and I'm the only woman. And I noticed that there was this big table on the side, and usually in Arabic situations, by the end of the night, the women are on one side of the table, the men are on the other side of the table, and that's how, that's how they want it. They want, So the women were on like this side, and the men are on that side, and I could tell that the women were like, to me, and I'm like. So I'm just sitting there trying to like mind my own business and watch the show, and the singer's singing. So finally, and it's like going on, and I'm just trying not to look, and it's their, beautiful. You could tell from a certain class, like Arabic wives, the wives section. And finally, this one wife got up and she walked over to me, and I was like, oh God, yeah, like what? Here we go, yeah. And she said, "Are you Suhaila Salimpour?" And I said, "Yes." And then she said, "Get up and dance." And I said, "Oh no, see, it's our night off, and we're just here really to support the singer, and thank you so much, but no, I'm going to sit here." And she went, No, we want, get up and dance. Don't you want to get up and dance? And I said, no, really, I see it's our night off, and see the band's here together, but we're here to support the singer, but thank you so much. So this went on for a while, and finally, and I'm literally like cold sweat. And she leans down and she whispers in my ear, "Please dance for us because we can't." So I felt my ancestors, and I was a vessel. I wasn't me. This was not about me. And I looked at her, and I stood up, and I looked at the table, and I got up and danced for these women and all the women that are not able to dance.
Yes. Suhaila, I didn't know where that story was going, girl.
It's always a surprise. The ending's a big surprise. I know.
And then you trying to put us in tears. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Exactly. That's what it is. It's like we're doing it for women who can't.
That was my moment of feeling like embodying the sensuous, that archetype. of like full body. Yeah.
What a moment.
Time check.
You have about 15 minutes.
Oh, more questions from the audience. Not the audience, our community. Community. Oh, over here. I'm sorry.
I have a similar question to what I asked on the last panel, and that's what is the role of spirituality or your ancestors within your art form?
Yes. Come on, ancestors. Come on, faith.
Okay, well, I do want to tell you that I always acknowledge, first off, that in street dance, I am a guest in my art form. So it doesn't have to be necessarily my own ancestors, but the fact that I'm able to participate in the styles that I do, I'm so grateful. And similar to what Suhaila just said, is like a lot of women in history did not have the opportunities to move, to celebrate and explore dance. So like I take all the opportunities whenever I can. So but also again, it's what drives me.
So I actually started dancing because of my grandmother. My grandmother had gone to the Uday Shankar Center and studied there. He was sort of the creator of modern Indian dance. And so she was a big influence. And before I started training formally through all my childhood, I practiced yoga with her at home, and we danced together for weddings. And so my initial love for dance really came from her. So I always think of her and honor her through my work. But also when I think about the rest of the family and ancestors who did not dance, necessarily have that same love for dance, but couldn't really, at that time, they didn't even have dreams. Like if you ask them, like, what do you want to be and what do you want to do? That's like almost like, what do you mean? I'm supposed to raise my family. I'm supposed to take care of the kids. Like they didn't have their own sort of like aspirations. And so every time like I dance, I always feel very grateful that I get to do this, which so many others couldn't, but also honor them and like channelize their strength because they were so resilient in their own ways. They just didn't have the opportunities that I did. So I think that's something I always honor through my work. When it comes to spirituality, that's something, I think dance is a very like spiritual practice. I think being an Indian dancer is, for me, I think in India right now, spirituality has gotten very entangled with religion and with Hinduism, and that's where I'm uncomfortable with engaging with it because it's become kind of like this fascist movement that's happening in India right now. So I'm very uncomfortable with religion as how it's being practiced. So I kind of separate the spirituality from religion, and so I focus on the spirituality part where you can connect with your ancestors and with yourself, but that to me is very separate from like organized religion.
Right? Like, isn't like the highest spiritual relationship is the one that you have with your own body, right? Yeah. And so I think that we're not ever removed from that, but to be cognizant of that, I think is really important. And you set your intentions every time you come into class. I think that because we teach such a wide body of and I find myself very challenged with this too right now because of the cultures that I'm teaching. I want everyone to feel really, really held and welcome, no matter what spiritual practice or religious practice, or wherever they're coming from. Like, it's welcome because the dance is community, and it's that through line of humanity that goes through all of us. And that's why I love the non-Western or European dance forms, because it's embedded the ancestors are embedded, the spirituality, the rituals embedded into the movement, into the structure of the movements, into the structure of the class. And I'm lucky to be second generation. Jamila Salimpour was my mother. And that's how we communicated. And also my aunties, they would wait for the men to leave the house and close the curtains and move the coffee table over. And they would always say, we don't have therapists in our country, you know, because they dance together. And they would bring out the tissue boxes and put on music and dance and cry and dance and cry and dance and cook. And cook and then cry and dance and cry and dance. You know, like that was their therapy. They were getting this out. And that's embedded into the cultures. And that's why I can see when a dance form, when an art form, when a body of movers aren't, I think, aware of that. I think you can see when things like competitiveness or that type of energy kind of infiltrates the beauty of what community has to offer, and then it changes things, but it's not removed. It never is in any. I mean, dance was created for community and ritual. I mean, that's how it started, right? Yeah.
Thank you for asking that. That was a good question. Thank you. Was there another question out there? Noelle.
I love it.
WA staff member.
Hi, everyone. So first off, I want to say thank you to all of you because speaking of what Andrea said, if there was one Ishika, one Suhaila, one Jenay in the classroom back when I was learning how to dance, I don't think I'd be an insecure person. So like, I think as an Asian woman, you're made out to be like, oh, you can't be confident or you can't love yourself because you're not supposed to do that. So unlearning that has been a journey. So I think if you all can, because y'all know I'm also doing this for the content and also for genuinity, okay? We're being genuine and we're being, anyways. So, but I think also too, it's for all of us to hear, but if y'all had one sentence, or not even one sentence, doesn't have to be one thing to say to younger girls or younger people that identify as girls or younger women that identify as women or younger women or women in general, what would it be in order for us to break out of this insecurity? Because I don't think women should be insecure, but we're made out to be. So, yeah. Okay, that's it.
And we're back to the male gaze.
Yes.
That's so sorry. I would say what I would say is what I was inspired by watching Mila's class in Girl Brigade is like, yes, you are entitled to dance. You belong. You are entitled to dance.
Yes.
I would say everything you need already exists inside of you. You just need to find it.
Oh, we're gonna cry. Got it. Okay.
Don't you listen, Jenay?
How do you follow those? I just, Lord.
I mean,
Girl, you can do it. That's all. I say it straight to your face. You can do it.
Yes.
Thank
For the
you.
record, I love ballet and modern. For the record, I do them myself, and I try to bring in the beauty of ritual and community inside of that, but I don't want anybody to misinterpret.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we got one more from Amit.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing. Y'all are inspiring. One question I had was just what are some things that we can maybe look forward to seeing from what you guys currently do? I feel like it's, just something that you want to share.
You took my question.
Oh, sorry.
Well, that's my co-director. So Well, we're performing next weekend for World Arts, so we're very excited for that and to share the space with so many incredible artists. And I guess the weekend after that, we're collaborating with a Kathak company and for a show called Sabit Kadam, which means perseverance. And it's about Pakistani identity post-partition and honoring and paying homage to different artists from Pakistan. So we're going to be a guest company as part of that show, which is in East Palo Alto.
I mean, so now we have to do the thing like, please join our newsletter. Yeah, please follow us on. I'm on Spotify too.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So
Because you dancing next week too.
I know. Well, I will be there next week, and with all of these lovely artists as well that are sitting here. So we have apparently I've been told a big group, but also next month I'll be at Point Reyes Station. I'm collaborating with an Odissi dancer. We're doing a half a day belly dance Odissi like combination with Nubia, and who I absolutely love. Yes, and so that's next month, and then I do a belly dance by the bay. We just did our first one. We did belly dance by the bay at Ashkenaz, and we're going to be doing it again next August at Ashkenaz, and then Balanat the day after, because I'm insane. But yeah, thank you for asking. That's wonderful. Yeah.
So Mixed Ingredients has a 4-year film project that we've been working on.
Yes.
It'll get done. So look forward to that in 2025. We have all the footage now. We just have to edit it.
Yes. Documentating.
Yes, and that.
Did I make that word up? Documenting. Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's give a hand for our panelists one more time.
But thank you, Andrea.
Yeah,
Isn't
thank
Andrea
you,
the best?
Andrea.
She's the best. Thank you.
She's a great facilitator.
And
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming here today. This program came about because this is a series of topics that the cultural artists really, really wanted to talk about. This is the 4th Artist Dialogue this festival. These were the topics also what the community at large wanted to talk about. The community at large also told us that they want to take beginning level cultural dance workshops that are not intimidating, not scary. So please stick around for Suhaila's wonderful workshop and a cipher afterwards. We want to hear from you. Please call and talk to our team members. Let us know how you like today's program, suggestions for improvement, what you would like to see in our next year's festival and the year after that. Starting 2025, where Arts West is going to begin a 3-year planning runway to celebrate our 50th anniversary in 2028. Please get involved. Let us know what you'd like to see. Volunteer, become a donor, buy a t-shirt. We want to hear from you. So we are very intentional and very sincere about shaping our organization's programs due to your input. So come and talk to us. All right, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, World Arts West.